I look like I feel. Goodness gracious. Look like I just did a solid day's worth of work. Because I did. But I did bring in some quesadillas to my coworkers. Not the easiest thing to eat while you're working, but... Oh. Ow, okay. There we go. So, now that you're sitting here with a scintillating discussion of nothing as I comb the knots out of my hair with my fingers, let's get into the business of the actual topic. So last time we were talking about podcast hosting sites. We were looking at Beansprout, or some such thing. Is that what it was called? What was it called? So we had the options from this one Buzzsprout. There we go. This one article that I used as the foundation of finding hosts. And they tout 5 free options. One of them, or maybe even 2 of them, are not free. But the other 3 appeared to be free. And I only needed 3 at most. So I just assumed that would work as sources. The further I looked into it, Buzzsprout seems like it offers some opportunities, but it seems like they also only offer free service for 3 days, or 3 months. That's of no use to me. If I choose to extend that as a long-term plan, why would I continue to do that with them? So I did a little digging, and it didn't take super long for me to find out the last time, just after we shot the last video, that there are several other hosts available, and there are several of them with free brackets that are legitimately free and not free for a little while. So I just ditched Buzzsprout, and from there we've got SoundCloud, we've got Podomatic, and we have 3 other options. One of them is called Podbean. They have a basic level, which is always free. I can host 5 hours of content, not the 2 or whatever Buzzsprout was. There does seem to be some metering of bandwidth, but it's basic. It'll do what I need it to do. But it's also interesting to note that with Podbean, they have a series of levels you can go with. $9 a month is one of the options. Instead of, I think it was like $12 to $15 a month to upgrade some of the other services. Once you go to $9 a month, you get unlimited and unmetered podcast hosting. And then it's themes for your podcast, custom designs, map your own domain. Oh, so in Podbean, you don't get to name the website for your podcast. It's sort of like Podbean is sort of like a YouTube channel like mine right here. You can find my channel, and I can point you towards my channel, but I do not have a channel specific URL. So for Roving Jack, the channel that I do my tinkering projects on, I believe if you type in youtube.com/C/Roving Jack. Let me double check that, make sure that works. It's been a while since I've used that link. So if we do youtube.com/C/Roving Jack. Yep, it takes me right to it. So it's literally, if you put roving, it's /C/Roving Jack. It's an easy way to lead directly to my channel. The channel for this channel does not have that option because I don't think they consider me to be successful enough for it to be viable as a thing. You have to have a certain level of success. And that's sort of what this is. I can host 5 hours of content, and they throttle me bandwidth-wise. Now, if I pay $9 a month, I get unlimited storage space and unmetered bandwidth. But they also make it possible for me to use a domain name that leads directly to my podcast, so you'd be able to find it easier. It's not something I'm super worried about right now. And then they have a few higher options. And it looks like that's mainly to do with monetization. And business podcasts offer multiple podcast channels, multiple admins, SSO authentication, engagement intel, groups, removed Podbean branding. So there will be brand markers on my video or my podcasts, whatever. Live chat support and Podbean Pro app. So those are things that I don't know that I need or am particularly worried about at any given time. So unlimited. Unlimited. So like really the biggest thing going for this seems to be a $9 a month switchover at a certain point if I wanted to do that. That's not a bad option. Okay, so one of the other services that I found for hosting your podcast. Sorry, your promo code expired on 3/5/20. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not worried about it right now. Yeah. Just refresh the page. Yeah. Okay, cool. Gonna be that way about it. Awesome. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about the promo code. So there's a service called Spreaker, which is sort of known for being... Spreaker is a sort of all-in-one service for podcasting. Now, it looks like they do hosting as well as distribution. I'm going to do a little bit of something right here. Let's listen to a podcast and see what we can get here. So, Who Killed Teresa? I've got my headphones into the jack this time, so if it starts to play, we don't have to worry about it bombing my channel with copyrighted audio of any kind. I can hear it going. Oh, interesting. Okay, where's the... So, okay, just checking out the Spreaker podcast play capabilities. It does not have access to the number keys. So if I hit 1 through 9, it doesn't do anything. So that definitely limits one of the options for me to proceed with some of my story ideas. It restricts me to the other two formats, the left and right audio channels. I don't know that Podbean. Let's see if we can pull one of those up and see what happens. Let's do an arts podcast. The other feature of Spreaker is its tiers of membership. So I will look at that in a second. Let's just pull Dried Up Brain. Okay, that's a different one. Yeah, and they don't use number keys either. So it literally looks like SoundCloud is the one that's most likely to offer that playable feature. So being able to choose where in the audio you go with the number keys is a SoundCloud and YouTube almost exclusive, it seems. I haven't tried to see if I could download an audio file and whether or not audio players on the hard drive do that. I think it's actually oftentimes considered to be a vestige, a leftover of older audio tech. And it's not something some of the newer systems have bothered to include because it's not in their priorities. But so Podbean doesn't have that ability, and Spreaker doesn't seem to have that ability. But Podbean has a free, always free, but limited account access. They have a $9 per month option. They have a $29 per month option with marginally improved monetization options. And then they have the business option, which is $100 a month. I don't need that. I don't think I need that. So their free option is still an option. Now, Spreaker has a free option, an on-air talent option, which is $6 a month, which is a better deal in many ways. Now, the free option includes multiple podcast hosting. The $6 a month customize RSS feeds and programmatic monetization. So it sounds to me, honestly, like they're sort of offering themselves as agents for you. But if you're going to do the work yourself, you probably don't need them. I don't know that I'll be particularly successful doing it on my own, but I don't imagine there's a huge gap between what I'd be able to achieve if I applied it myself to being my own agent versus paying them $6 a month to do it for me. So what I'm saying there, I think I think the return on my investment would probably be better if I got the free account and did the rest of the work myself. They have an $18 option, which has the same things as the On Air Talent with limited access podcasts and advanced statistics. I don't know that those features offer enough for that to be worth tripling the cost, in my mind. And then Anchorman is a $45 per month podcast. And each of these are billed yearly. That's an important thing to distinguish, I think. They're billed yearly. So they're saying it comes out to such and such a month. But realistically, what you're paying is one lump sum for a year. And that is the same for Podbean. But again, I'll be using the free options for most of this anyway, if I use them. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to use them because I have SoundCloud, which has their free option. Podomatic has their free option. Now, Podomatic and Podbean look like they both do bandwidth limitation, which is fine. I don't know that the SoundCloud does. Not sure about that, but so free speech on Spreaker. I mean, it doesn't look like it's restricting too much in any given way. Yeah, the biggest hurdle I see with Spreaker is they legitimately do not have any frills on the player. The player is a little strip at the bottom of my browser window that stays on the bottom as I scroll through the rest of the page. And it has a pause button and a fast forward button as it's playing, and a play button and a fast forward button or next track button. And then it's a word bubble and a volume control and a thread error. I don't know. Okay, so there is once you've moved to another track, hang on. Okay, so it looks like they play some commercials on your content too. So it is what it is. Okay, what are all the features of Spreaker? Live podcasting, basic distribution, basic statistics. So no monetization options available built into Spreaker on the free level. That's fine. That's okay. I'm not super worried about it. But let's talk about the third option I uncovered, or I guess technically the fifth at this point. So if we're looking at SoundCloud, Podomatic, Podbean, Spreaker, and now the last option that I've uncovered and I think probably would work reasonably well is a site called Anchor. Anchor. And they are pretty much an all-inclusive, easy, you do most of the work yourself anyway. Anchor is an all-in-one platform where you can create, distribute, and monetize your podcast from any device for free. and they were started with the original premise that putting up a gateway, a pay gate for anybody to create and monetize a podcast seemed like restriction of free speech. I don't know if I agree with that. It's not my argument to have. They took that stance, and because of that stance, they started a service where all tiers are free. There's no tier system. If you're going to create a podcast, you create a podcast, and they will host it. And just start recording, hit publish, and be heard anywhere. I don't know. It looks like they are able to be hosted in the Apple Store and the Google Play. There were a couple caveats at a certain point. I believe okay, let's take a look. Their terms of service a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago, included a clause stating that anything released on Anchor was owned by Anchor. So anybody who created content, that company now owns it. It looks like they're now updating rights of ownership. You retain your rights to any content you submit, post, or display on or through the service, unless otherwise agreed in writing. By submitting, posting, or displaying content on or through the service, you grant Medium a non-exclusive, royalty-free, worldwide, fully paid, and sub-licensable license to use. See, that's tricky. Unless otherwise agreed in writing. By submitting, posting, or displaying content on or through the service, you grant the company a non-exclusive, royalty-free, worldwide, fully paid, and sub-licensable license to use, reproduce, modify, adapt, publish, translate, or create derivative works from, distribute, publicly perform, and display your content and any name, username, or likeness provided in connection with your content in all media formats and distribution methods now known or later developed on the service. Medium needs this license because you own your content, and Medium therefore cannot display it across its various surfaces, mobile, web, without your permission. This type of license also is needed to distribute your content across our services. For example, you post a story on Medium, it is reproduced as a version on both our website and app and distributed to multiple places, such as the homepage or reading list. A modification might be that we show a snippet of your work. So long as you comply with these terms, Medium gives you a limited, personal, non-exclusive, and non-assignable license to access and use our service. So this license applies to our services only and does not grant us any permission outside of our services. Okay, so that's one of those tricky things. Previously, it sounds like they had established a similar clause that was a little more generous to them and problematic to anybody hosting with them. These new terms, I think they were changed last year, and it looks like they're changing them to the new terms starting September 1st, and that's part of what I just wrote you. So, I don't know. There's a part of me that goes a little back and forth on this. I'd like to support them, but I don't know. I don't know that what I'm going to end up doing on these services is copyrightable or trademarkable anyway. So once I do it, anybody who can figure out how to do the same thing, which I'm sharing freely on YouTube. I'm not that worried about it. But once I submit them and somebody's able to figure out what it is I'm doing, again, I'll probably just tell them, then they also can do it and rip me off. But is it ripping me off? Not really. I mean, if they're making their own content, if they're copying my own stories or whatever I'm doing with them, then yeah, then I might have grounds on other actions. I think my biggest concern would be a company like Anchor claiming what I've made as their own and prohibiting me from producing anything like it because they claim ownership of that likeness. So in this case, it would be the equivalent of they're taking the idea of the 1 through 9 keys as a choose your own adventure mechanism. So if they did that, or more importantly, I don't think I can do that one on Anchor anyway. I think it's going to be more of the left-right audio channel approach. And if Anchor claims that option, it removes my ability necessarily to freely use that myself because it's owned by Anchor at that point. And I'm not super enthusiastic about that, but it doesn't look like what they're saying grants them those gifts, those abilities now. But yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about where that might end up going. I may want to jump in on this soon because the other thing that's important about Anchor is I believe they were just bought within the last year by Spotify. I might have that slightly wrong, but I think that's the case. And if they were bought by Spotify, they're now freely accessible. Everybody has the right to have a podcast, and it's hosted and you can monetize for free. Those concepts may change soon since they've been bought out by a major audio content producer. So I will see how that goes. I will, it looks like it's probably not a huge thing. So I may just go with SoundCloud is the one so far that I found that makes it possible for me to use the number keys. So I think SoundCloud is doing number key work for me. I think from there, I still want to play around with Podomatic because they have a 6 hours of recording for free. And I believe, I don't think there's a time restriction. Okay, there we go. The free version of Spreaker is 5 hours audio storage, unlimited listeners. So that seems to me to be, that's getting around that bandwidth restriction that some of the others have. And I could host multiple podcasts. So if at any given time I choose to shift my Podomatic podcast off of Podomatic, I could just take the files and move them over to Spreaker under another podcast name, under the same podcast name, and have 2 podcasts on there episode scheduling, recording and live streaming app. So it looks like Spreaker offers a lot of features on its free level. I think it's just mainly 5 hours audio storage is their big limit. Basic distribution. I think the biggest hurdle there is the no built-in monetization. So it looks like in some of their upper tiers they have ad revenue sharing, dynamic ad insertion, and limited access podcasts available. So in all likelihood, a podcast I did with Spreaker would have ads on it, but I don't get any of the shares from it. They don't pay me to put ads on my podcast. And I think that's the biggest thing. I could still crowdfund our podcast on Spreaker, and I could still use something like a Patreon if I wanted to. So that's doable. The free level works for me. At a certain point, I could probably upgrade to the $6 per month and get ad revenue and dynamic ad insertion. I won't have access to limited access podcasts. And it looks like the first two levels of the $0 and the $6 a month approach are downloads enabled, daily listeners. I don't know what that is, how that's distinct. The advanced option has data on, those are statistics. So number of downloads and number of daily listeners. There you go. And the advanced statistics also includes listening sources, listening geolocation, episode likes, followers, trending. And the full statistics on the high-end deal includes all of that. Listening, episode likes, followers, trend, audience demographics. So that would give you a breakdown of who your audience is. Devices listened with, and episode evolution. None of that seems like a thing I want to spend my time stressing about. It looks like embedded player or customizable player are the high-end options on distribution. And they add the external app integration for live podcasting on the higher end. But all of that is like a marginal increase in capability. For what I'd get from the free one, that is a really good deal, I think. They give you a fair amount for your free deal there. I think at this point, Podbean is the slow one out the gate. I mean, to be fair, Podomatic is a little tight. So SoundCloud has the least hours of content you can host. Podomatic has 6 hours. Anchor had, I think, unlimited. Spreaker had the cap set at 5 hours, and Podbean was 5 hours. So yeah, I mean, they all have better offers. I might go back and look at Buzzsprout at some point, just because it seems to be a well-known and respected platform. It's just they don't have a legitimately free option right now. and I'm not sure what they offer is in my interest right now. But for comparison's sake, later on, I might just explore them as an option, just to see what they offer and if it's worth it to me. There is sort of an impulse on my part to want to do. Where's my file on this? We had a lot of thunderstorms, so I had closed a lot of my files and shut down my computer so it wouldn't be at risk from a surge or anything like that. But having done that, I have to find my files again with my notes on what I'm working on. Okay, there we go. Pull this open. What do we got? So I have the Fabulists game, which is the 1 through 9 that's going to be hosted on SoundCloud. Now, I think I can still do Choice Tales on Podomatic. I might switch that over to Spreaker. Because that one I can host as many as I want. Well, I got 5 hours on there. Let's put that one on. Let's put that one on Anchor. It looks like there's no restriction on Anchor as to what I can do and not do. So, Choice Tales on Anchor. The quiz show format that I was going to do, I could do on Podomatic. 6 hours of hosting might work for that. And there are a couple other things. I might be able to expand some of the options of different things to try out to a few other formats. Because I mean, we have 4 or 5 options. I'm getting rid of Buzzsprout. Let's just delete that. Podomatic, and what were the ones that we had? Nope, wrong file. So the options we had available were Anchor, Podomatic, Spreaker, and Podbean. So let's put those down in markers, because heaven knows I might come up with some ideas for them. So I still haven't figured out a name for the quiz show yet. I need to work on that. I don't want to call it Pop Quiz because that's so obvious that somebody else has to have thought of it first. If you're doing pop culture quizzes, calling it a pop quiz, it's very unoriginal. And maybe come up with ideas for the other 2 formats. I mean, there's always the Choose Your Own Adventure style video that I could do on YouTube. And I could do a podcast version of them first. I'm not sure, though. I'm really not sure about that. I'd have to really test, and I think that's what I'm going to do before Sunday. So I think I'm going to open an account on each of these services and just really give a test run of what their players offer. because SoundCloud offers that 1 through 9 feature that's super useful for a certain type of play. The other ones, depending on what they have available to them, may allow me to do click at this point or leave tag markers on the audio file so that I can then tell people where to go for the next chapter. If that's a possibility on any of those players, that player should become one in which I do a choose your own adventure style story with multiple choices per option. So that's sort of the main thing on my brain right now, is suiting the type of content I create to the platform I host on. But outside of that, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with each of them, and I'm not dead set on anything other than the fact that SoundCloud has to be the one to use the Fabulists game, the one with the 1 through 9 buttons. Everything else is whichever one works best as the host for it. And right now we pretty much only have Choice Tales, which is the right or wrong paths. There's always a wrong path. There's always a right path. And then the quiz show, Pop Culture Quiz. And then there's options for 2 other types of choose your own adventure style stories that I could come up with and pop into place. It's at that point, it's really getting down to a question of like, if I do all of those, how often do I update? And if I'm doing 5 podcasts a week, that sounds like an awful lot of work. So I don't know that I want to do quite that much, but it's, as something to explore, I'll take a look at them and see what my options are. I think I'll call it for tonight here. We're almost 45 minutes in. I'm super, super tired tonight. And I think I probably got another couple of long nights the next couple nights. But my next night for here with the new schedule should be Sunday night anyway. So you should get me on a good day. Until then, I'm going to say take care and have a good night. Stay safe. I know you're not in the hurricane zone right now, but I guess there's going to be some spreading consequences as it goes further. So stay safe. I'll catch you later.